I'm going to let him introduce himself, and we're going to find out everything that he has going on and why you should know about it. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Thank you for making some time and being patient. We've been trying to make this happen for, it feels like weeks. It feels like weeks. If somebody hasn't met you, let them know what your name is and then where you're at right now.
My name's Gabriel Antonio, and I'm currently here in Houston, Texas. When I recently got back from Ukraine a couple of weeks ago. I think when we first started trying to make this happen.
Yes. Okay. I've seen a lot of stuff in the news that's coming out of this situation in Ukraine. You've been there, on the ground. What's the situation like? What's the reality of everything going on?
So a lot of stuff you've seen is I want to say it's about 70% correct. I myself was with a team in Kyiv fighting in Bucha and Irpin. And when we're doing the initial push to get the Russians out of there, I'm sure you saw in the news the massacre, the people cuffed behind their backs, executed, innocent civilians shot. That's real. There's a lot of war crimes. As we're doing that push and getting the Russians out, you just see the dead bodies of innocent civilians blatantly executed. So all the war crimes you're seeing, a lot of the massacres you're seeing, those are very real, very realistic. We kind of see in the news or you hear in certain places after the Russians were kicked out of Kyiv of the war being over. That's not real. In the east, in Malakiv, Mariupol, Kherson, the war's real. The war's real there, and it's heavily going on.
Yes. So right now you're back in Houston, and I think you have a goal to get back over there. And can you kind of tell me, I guess, what does that look like and why? Why go back?
Yeah. So I initially came back because I received some injuries from explosions when I was there. So I had to get some checks done, and I figured to come back here, raise some money. We're trying to raise about 10 grand to buy tourniquets, especially for the frontline soldiers in the east, and deliver them myself. The issue that we have there right now is a lot of stuff that comes in through humanitarian organizations isn't really making it to the far front lines. When I was in the east, you see guys using shoelaces, belts as tourniquets, which in reality causes more harm than good. So I felt since I had to get medically checked anyway to come back, raise money, get those supplies where I can deliver them myself to the areas that need them.
Yes. And whenever we had first talked a little bit, you were saying like, hey, there's even the combat sports side. Obviously, y'all are in combat, but let people know where do you train here, and I guess how long have you been training?
Yes, I train out of Revolution Dojo in downtown. I used to train with Saul Solis prior to his death for a little bit, but my training started in the military when you learn your basic map skills. And then that transitioned to learning Krav Maga, which I did for quite a few years outside of the military. I did here in Houston also. And then just happened to transition about 3 years ago to attempt to fight full time, about 2.5 years ago, to try to expand the career and move forward in combat sports.
Yeah, and I guess with that military, background, and then transitioning into, hey, I'm going to do this, I guess, to stay in shape or as a sport. It seems like, because what I have found, and I did not serve in the military, but at least like in these gyms, there is like that brotherhood and family, and it's like a bond that's there. Does that relate?
No, it does. It does very much. I trained in different gyms before being here in Houston, and when I found Revolution Dojo, Jeff Messina and his other instructors, they make it an effort to make it seem like, or make it feel like you're part of the family, and in reality you are. Out of all the gyms that I've trained in, I think Revolution's probably one of the best places that you become part of a family, you become part of that brotherhood like you see in the military.
I just saw that Professor Jeff Messina that he won gold. It was like the European Nationals or something like that, and he posted
Yeah,
on social media.
yeah. Jeff is a beast. His skill set, his jujitsu knowledge, his combat knowledge is very high. And I think part of it, not only as a competitor, but what makes him a really good instructor is that he will give you all that knowledge and help you grow without, I've seen places where people want to hold back, competitors want to hold back their little secrets.
Yeah.
Obviously, so you never use it against them, but Jeff is not that way. He shares everything with you. And I think that has helped me grow as a competitor, and as a fighter.
And it's also cool to see them out there leading from the front, going and competing, and not only competing and being successful, having fun, but like still winning the whole thing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's amazing.
Yes. So, whenever you're out there in Ukraine, is there I guess is there combat sports out there? I know that there is, but are they kind of distracted from that in the way they're like, hey, we're trying to protect our country, we're trying to to fight for our freedom?
There is. So when you go into Poland, when I landed in Poland, I went to Krakow, and I had a day from the station to Krakow to Ukraine, and I found a jiu-jitsu MMA gym that I went to go train for an hour, for like 2 hours, which was fun. I learned a little bit different. But once you make it into Ukraine, the further you go east, initially towards Kyiv, where there was invaders, you didn't see much training. On the west, by the border in Lviv, there was gyms that were open for training jiu-jitsu. But the further east you went, you aren't able to train, because a lot of the people there have signed up for the military or signed up in one way or capacity to fight the war. Once Kyiv was pushed from Russians in the regions, is when stuff started opening up a little bit. I met a female jiu-jitsu. She won ADC, I believe ADC or European championships. So they have really good people to train there. One of my teammates that I was attached to this man's unit. He helped. He's trained his whole life. He was with he was Amosov, the Bellator champion training partner, for a while. And then you have guys like Lomachenko that are there. So there is a big community there. For my time there, you didn't get to see that huge fighting community. But from my understanding, things are opening up now.
Okay. And whenever you are there and you were, serving and fighting and doing those things, I think that you were like you had mentioned earlier before we went on air, you're in the middle of like fire and bombs and stuff like that going off. Do you have time to train with the other people that y'all are fighting alongside with?
So yeah, we did a lot more combat technical training, submits and stuff like that when we were able to. During our downtime, we would do some, hand-to-hand stuff, some jiu-jitsu, for one or two reasons. One was in case we actually do need this in combat, and we find ourselves in a very tough situation. Everybody knows the basics of how to survive and how to fight. Secondly, there was a time frame when I was there in Irpin where we received heavy artillery for over 3 days, mortars and artillery. So while we couldn't really move, we couldn't really do much. We would hide in a safe house that we acquired, or we hide in this ghetto-made bunker. And during the time, we really couldn't do much. I myself am not an artillery guy, so I'm pretty much useless when it comes to that. So during that downtime, we have to burn off energy. We have to relax a little bit, I guess. So we would do a little bit of training in between, especially after the 5 TV shows you downloaded on Netflix ran away, or you watched it like for the 4th time.
Yeah. What kind of things do you watch? What kind of things would you find? Hey, I'm going to download this and watch it, and then you just get tired of it.
Oh, I think the one that I watched the most was a Netflix documentary called Animals.
What's it about? I'm guessing animals in some way, but what is it? What's the premise?
So they had it's strange that I remember these pretty well. They had birds of prey. So, they went into very specific birds of prey throughout the world. Bears, dolphins. And I think those are the 3 that I remember, because those are the 3 that I continuously watched.
Yeah. Okay, talking about all of this, I guess the one thing that I really am curious is, like, why go back? Why is that, your calling? Why is it important for you to go back, raise that money and then go help and fight?
I think the most important part, it is to get those supplies out to the front lines.
Because you've seen it and you know that they need them, right?
There's a war going on. There are a lot of war crimes. Yeah, they do. They really do need them. And then you see a lot of war crimes that are unacceptable from the Russian side. So for me, it's, at the very minimum, is to go back and get them the supplies that they truly need. I've put everything else on hold here in the U.S. I wanted to be scheduled for a June 4th fight, but I put my fighting career, my life on hold, just to be able to do this and go back. And I think now that I've already been there and I've already seen what is really needed, I have a responsibility to go back and make sure that at the very minimum, the stuff that I see that need to be fixed gets fixed. Yes. Or supplied to.
Do you hope or think that you'll be able to fight later this year?
No, yeah. So originally, I was set to go in a couple days, but some issues that came up where supplies to come in, which I've been delayed a little bit. So once those come up, I'll be heading back. So hopefully, no later than a week or 2, I should be back. But it's all variant on the supplies coming in that we have ordered, and just making everything it's set up and it's going to flow correctly.
Yeah.
Because I'm also waiting from a letter from Major General Tishenko up in Kyiv to make sure that the supplies and equipment that I'm bringing across the border, that the Ukrainian military knows that they can't be touched, or they're have permissions to bring X amount of items and stuff like that, and I don't have any issues to transport them all the way to the front lines.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody wants to follow this journey that you're taking, or they want to help in any way, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you or to get involved and find out what's going on and how they can help?
Yeah, so they can follow me on my Instagram, which is Gabriel _Antonio, the number 6. And from there, I post a lot of stuff while I'm in country for security reasons. I don't really post a lot of stuff unless you're in like my close group friends,
mm-hmm.
And that has to deal a lot with more security, so it can't be tracked, or if Russians are watching or hacking into systems, it doesn't get give our positions away. But I do post on my Instagram, my GoFundMe page. So we're raising money. We've raised over $1,500 currently, and I always post it on there. And if anybody wants to donate, always go to my Instagram, and then from there I always post the links and stuff. And if they want to send me any questions, they're more than welcome to.
Thank you for taking some time today. I appreciate you. Is there anything else that you would like to share?
Yeah. I just want to thank you for your time. This is a very real war. A lot of people are dying, including military and civilians, children, women. From what I've seen and my experience there, there's a lot of war crimes being committed. So for this GoFundMe, raising this money is very important. And all this money is only being spent on medical supplies, specifically tourniquets. So if anybody's concerned that, oh, they're going to use it for weapons, they're going to use it for this, I'm not using it for that. I'm specifically buying tourniquets and other medical supplies that are needed to not only help the soldiers in the front, but the civilians that get evacuated or get injured in the process.
Awesome. So you can go follow Gabriel on Instagram. Gabriel, thank you so much for taking time today. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
This is Gardy with Clear Life